Hey, Russ, what's your address?
We are located at 31 Boston Harbor, North Carolina.
This is Open Source Friday, and this is basically a show where I talk to open source maintainers and contributors about their projects. And today I'm joined by Pedro, who created Fonoster. Hey, Pedro, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Russell. How about you?
I'm doing great too. I'm sad that my ring light came off and now I'm just using regular light, but that's okay. And I'm having a great Friday. How about you? We just jump straight into it and you go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a brief intro about myself. Something that I like to tell people is that I was born and raised in a small island in the Dominican Republic that's on the Caribbean. And I grew up, I guess, like most kids over there. And it was a good few years when I was a kid. But I had opportunity back in 2020 to go to school, and I graduated as a telematics engineer. And I say that because it's gonna be important later on for the topic that we're gonna talk about today. But I got the opportunity to get a telematics engineering degree and two pivoting times in my life. One of them was in 2010 when I got my green card and I got to move to the United States. It was a great experience to begin with, but that pivoting time, not only did I move to the state, but also I joined the military. I don't know if I told you that when we talked on our on the space last time, but I joined the military in 2011. Actually, I spent 10 years in the U.S. military, so that was a great experience. But I think most people know 2020 came up, and there was another pivoting moment in my life as well when I had to make a decision: do I stay in the military or do I go back to tech? I made a decision, jumped back into tech, and started building Fonoster, which is the thing that we're going to be talking about today. But I think that's me in a nutshell: Caribbean kid, telematics engineer, military for over a decade, and then back to tech. So that's pretty.
Wow. First of all, I love to see more Caribbean people in tech. And then I did not know you were in the military at first and then you transitioned back to tech.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about what is Faunister? What led you from like you going from coming to America, getting that you said telematics? Is that what
Yeah.
it's called?
It's
Degree?
telecommunications.
Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure I was saying the right thing. Telematics degree, then military, then Faunister. Tell us that journey, and then also tell us what is Faunister for anybody that's watching.
Yeah, for sure. The journey started a long time ago with maybe a seed, with an idea. And the idea was, can we make telecommunications easy to consume for developers? That was the original idea. And I had this idea many years ago, even before I came to the state and even before it was called Fonoster. And the challenge we had was the industry was moving to APIs. I'm talking about 2008. We didn't even have REST or any of this like gRPC cool APIs we have nowadays. It was so
Wait, in 2008 there was no REST APIs? What?
no, there was no broad concept at least of anything like that. We have something
Wow.
called Corba. We have and the beginnings of REST might have been there, but there was just not broad adoption of that. The entire industry, not only telecommunication, was moving to that. And I thought, hey, what if we can make all this complexity of the telecommunication and kind of wrap that into an API? That was like many years ago. Back then, I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the knowledge to build a thing. I didn't necessarily have the money to put it together either. So I really had to fast forward almost a decade before I started having. By then, I had built some frameworks, I have built some tools around this, but it wasn't really the shape that it has today. So that's how it started. And as far as what it is, if you understand what Twilio is, then we're building an open source alternative to that. If you can think of generating a phone call automatically through an API, that's something that Fonoster does, right? If you call, let's say, to a restaurant and you get greeted by a programmable voice, then that's what Fonoster does as well. And now we're moving towards supporting more use cases like sending SMS, sending something called MMS, and hopefully on time, if things go the way things are doing better now, So hopefully on time we'll be able to support video as well. It might not be in the next couple months, but hopefully that's what's coming. So
This is very exciting to me because during 2019 to 2021, I worked at a company that used Twilio heavily. Basically, what we were doing is it was an insurance company where, not an insurance company, but an insure tech company where insurance companies can use our platform to have like operators or insurance operators type on like their web app and then send a text message to their like clients or whatever, like the people that needed insurance. So they'll be like, oh, like someone could text in and be like, hey, my car got in a crash. And then the insurance operator would see it on their web app. So I know a lot about Twilio. So I'm really excited to see like what Fonoster can do or where it's at right now. Cause I'm sure like it's a lot to get to what Twilio has, or maybe even you're doing something slightly different. I also want to say, hey to the chat, like if people are not calling in, but watching in, I want to know where you're coming from. So I see name Wardnero. They said they're calling in from Dominican Republic. So you got people supporting you. Do you know this
nice.
person by any chance?
I know
Oh,
him.
okay.
Yeah, we worked together at some point. Yeah.
Awesome. I love to see that. And then, oh, Bakari's here. He said Callie in the house. Thanks, Bakari. Awesome. So if you're ready, we can get into the demo.
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, let's do it. You just said it a second ago. There's a lot of things that we need to work on to get to the level where Twilio is at. So we're just focusing on the things that we can influence at this time. And one of those is voice, or programmable voice rather. But yesterday, I want to take a step back because yesterday there was a question, how do you connect to the PSTN? A lot of people always ask that. So I wanted to quickly go over the journey of a phone call before I go to the demo. Okay.
And can you, yeah, that's completely fine. And I have a dumb question. What is PSTN?
Okay, that's a good question. So PSTN stands for Private Switch Telephone Network, which is just a weird or like a long way to say just a regular phone, regular cell phone or mobile phone or landline phone. A broader term that includes all these other areas.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. The journey of a call typically goes like this. You pick up your phone, you call to a number, could be a bank or something like that. And normally it's going to go from your mobile to your, unless you're using wireless rather, but typically we go to your telephone tower and then it's going to go to what we just say, the PSTN. In the PSTN, it might go from one network to another before it makes it to and to answer the question we got yesterday, to the VoIP provider. So a VoIP provider is typically a smaller company that is connected to these other PSTN providers using a protocol called SIP, right? That's a session initiation protocol, if I remember correctly. Now, once it gets to the VoIP provider, now it's getting closer to Fonoster. That provider sends the call over to our servers. And then from there, we connect that over to your programmable voice, which is the use case we're going over to there. Okay. So you just kind of want to go super quickly. That is a journey. It takes that path for us to get a phone call. But anyway, so just to show you the demo. So that last step, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes,
well.
I can see it.
Perfect. So that last step, what was that?
No, I was gonna say if anybody in the chat is having a hard time seeing it, let us know. But it looks very like legible and clear.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that last step that I show you on the diagram, which is you can call that a programmable voice. That's what I'm going to start. Okay, so in here, I already downloaded this and it's ready to go. Maybe we can save some time by doing that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to start this application, but I wanted to show you that there's no magic in here. This is just a normal Express server running in the back end. There's nothing crazy. So let me go ahead and open my VS Code really quickly to show you that. Yeah, my computer is extra slow today, so that's kind of cool.
Maybe because you're sharing your video now and then also running this stuff. That's all good.
Possible. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and open this whenever this computer lets me. Okay, there you go. So we're gonna open this, make it a little bigger. And yeah, it's just a normal Node.js project in here. And what I want to show you is that this is where we're going to be playing. I'll make it a little bigger.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect. So in here, this is a super simple application. This is the simplest one I can demo today.
Yeah.
I'll do a more complex one later. But all we're doing here is receiving a phone call
Mm-hmm.
and answering the phone call, and then playing a sound, a typical hello word, and then hanging up the call.
Oh, that's
That's
so
what's
cool.
happening. Yeah, it's just happening in backend. I want to make sure I close this so I can save some resources. But just like you're doing this, answer and play and hang up, you have
Mm-hmm.
other options. Like you can gather what the user is putting on his keypad. You can put some silence on it. So you can play with these verbs to make the flow that you want. I wanted to
Oh,
show that, but I'm closing this.
okay.
All right.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
but anyway, so now we're here. This is the voice application. But since I'm running on my local station, I need to run a second tool because I want that port to be exposed over the internet. And I will use this called ngrok. You probably used that before. This basically gives me an L that I can use from the internet where
Mm-hmm.
Fonoster is located at.
Yep, that makes
So
sense.
I'll copy that over. And so now I'm going over the Fonoster side because I'm done with the app. It's that simple.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go, let's see, I'm gonna use the demo. This is demo project. Okay, so in here, I've already have a phone number configured for
Mhm.
our application. The only thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to point to the new
The
URL.
Angrok. Yep.
Yep, the one on Angra, and that's all we have to do. Okay, so if everything went well, I can test this up,
Hello, world.
and you can.
Oh,
Is this yeah? That's a demo. Literally, if I go over here, you will see the logs of the interaction that the application had with Fonoster.
yeah.
So that's the simplest demo I wanted to show you. But I want to show you something a little more cool than that. I'm going to go ahead and close all this stuff because I don't need it. Okay, I just don't need this one. So the second demo I'm going to show you is a use case where you can connect a phone number with what's just called an intent analysis tool. And
Okay.
for this demo, I'm going to use Dialogflow. The You don't have to do any programming for this use case. So
Oh,
it's pretty cool. So you can literally build your chatbot the way you normally do it on Dialogflow. You get the project ID and you just plug that in here. It's a form. Yeah, I'm going to show you so it doesn't look
wait. So,
mysterious.
what is it? Intent analysis? Is that robot that responds to you? I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can tell you briefly what it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, an intent analysis engine basically it lets you have a natural voice conversation. Natural, not voice, sorry.
Mm.
Lets you have a natural language conversation. In the past, we had to hard code the things that people could say. And you will see in the
Oh,
demo, yeah, you can now do so for example, if I'm asking for an address, I don't
yeah.
have to say the exact same word. I can use a variation of that. And I can train this thing to here, I'm going to show you an example here.
Okay.
How about that? So, for example, if let me get out of here. So, I have all these intents from here. I have a bunch of different intents. This is a bot that supports like a restaurant sort of thing. Every single item you see in here are actions that the customer has an intention to execute.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, if I want to ask the bot for an address, I have an intent that covers that intent. I'm sorry, I have an item within the the engine that
Yeah.
allows you to train the bot and tell, okay, what are some things that the person could say that will
Mm.
trigger this intent? That's the idea.
Go- Gotcha. That way you're not yelling on the phone and being like, I said I want this. It understands that if you said something that's a synonym of it or a variation, it'll still get you to that answer. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to clarify: this is not Fonoster product. This is a Google product.
Okay.
It's something that you can use for your tools. Now,
Yeah.
on Fonoster side, you don't have to do any programming. It's literally all you do is you enter the project ID, you set up
Mhm.
some credentials that Google will give you, and you get to choose. You can choose for example, in here I can go
With cloud machine learning, your application
A
interprets images.
British
the British voice if that's what you're looking for, and there are many other languages. Let me go ahead and switch over this app to show you how this looks like. Okay, so instead of using this URL, I'm going to switch over to the ROS AI demo. That's the Dialogflow application. Okay, I'm going to save that. Boom. And because this is a live stream and I want to make sure that we have something that is risky, we created an app just for this, just so that you can have a visual of what's happening.
Oh, wow.
Greetings. How can I assist?
Hey, Russ. Hey, Russ. What's your address?
We are located at 31 Boston Harbor, North Carolina.
Okay. By the way, I set up a feature here. So this kind of works like Alexa in a way that you got to activate it. So now I'm talking, it is passively listening. So it won't really do anything unless I tell her something like, hey, Ross, what's your phone number?
The restaurant's number is 785-317-8070.
Okay, so that's pretty much, yeah, thank you. So I'm glad it worked because we literally just put together this like in the last couple of days. One of my maintainers kind of worked with me on that. But I don't know if you have any questions, but that's some of the basic things you can do with Fonoster. There's some use cases where you can use an API, you can trigger a call and your phone will ring. You can hear the same things I just show you. There is a feature, we're working on a feature for SMS. We literally just started drafting those APIs, but you could also, another thing you can do with Fonoster, which is a little difficult to demonstrate here, is you could also, like if you have an office and you have a number of people that you want them to be able to call each other using a cell phone, you can do that also with Fonoster. And there are many other cool features, but I just wanted to go ahead and show some of the ones that I think are the more exciting ones.
That was really exciting. It's like you made Siri.
It's Siri. It's Siri. You can call from the phone. We're working on this tool that allows you to do that from the browser. So I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Wow. Okay. So I actually am curious. The little pop-up thing on the right-hand corner that you had, that was Fonoster, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So that's actually, so let's see. That thing that I just showed you, that's a new tool we're working. This hasn't been released yet, just so you know. But
okay,
we
got the inside scoop.
You did just got the inside scoop. But I just wanted to show you a visual so that you can see and hear what's happening.
How can I help you?
You cannot help me with anything right now. but yeah, this is something we are launching, and this is actually one of the things that you don't have something like this in Twilio. This is something we're building. So the idea will be to make it super easy for anybody. Let's say you have an e-commerce website, you can easily install this, configure your bot on Fonoster, create your chat bot on Dialogflow, boom, you're done. So that's it.
I love it. This is so cool. And I like how even though you're an alternative to Twilio, you're like, hey, what about if this existed? Not necessarily copying every single like feature in there. I want to know if people have questions. One person said, where's the link to this code? I know that you said this part is, I don't know if they mean the link to the repository or to the demo, but probably to the repository.
I can probably answer that for sure. So in GitHub, I'll show both of them. I don't know. Okay. How are we looking on time, by the way?
We're looking great on time. It's about 20 minutes in.
So I'll go ahead and show you two things. So for the first demo, we are using a kind of a cool feature that I just discovered. I don't know how long GitHub launched this, but we're using templates.
I love to see that you're using those.
Yeah, I was super excited when I found out because I was like, oh, now people don't have to clone the repo. They can, like, you clone the repo and I have a whole history of the project that most people really don't care about. But now you can actually use a template, and that's literally a template for your own application. So for the first one is Fonoster Node.js voice app. But the second one is actually called ROS AI. Oops, nope, that's not what it's ROS UI.
Gotcha.
Let me make sure I got this right.
Yep, that looks like it's working.
There you go. So that's it. So people can go in there, and some of these things, this particular tool hasn't been released, but if people they want to explore and collaborate with that, they're welcome to do that.
That is awesome. That's awesome. And it looks like other people are really excited. Bakari said, whoa. And he also asks, how do I get started contributing?
Okay, that's a good question. So I think that the best path is connect with me directly. Okay, so if you can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on you can find my GitHub, send me an email, because I'm currently onboarding people like one-on-one. This is something I like to do, just onboard people, see what their use cases are, and then I can get you started, which tools we are taking collaborations from and things like that. But my DMs are always open, so you can reach out directly, and I'll help you start.
Yes. Oh yeah. Follow Pedro on Twitter, or I guess your other stuff too. But your handle, I believe, is Pedro Sanders and then underscore. Is that correct? Awesome. Yes. Oh hey, I don't know if you just missed it, but Pedro made basically him and his team basically made another version of Siri or Alexa. It's so cool. Someone said this for sure is cool. Would love to connect with you on Wow, I cannot read today. Would love to connect with you on Twitter, Pedro. Something like that they said. But whatever. Cool. Yeah, that would be awesome. Definitely reach out. And okay, so your onboarding flow is reaching out to you first so that you could work with them one-on-one. I imagine because it can be a little bit maybe difficult to get started. It's not just like regular web development.
Some of the projects are, in fact, like at the moment, we're keeping the core from within the team because of the same reasons. But we're working, I think I mentioned this on the space. I'm looking at code spaces. I'm hoping that this is what we're looking for, so we can make it super easy for somebody to just start everything up.
Yeah.
So those are some of the ideas, but at the time it's a little difficult to start. So I like to do that personally for now.
And just double checking, you said you're trying to get code spaces, or you have it?
So I requested access. So
oh, I might be able. They have a. Let me not say it here.
I'll
talk to you afterwards. I might be able to get you the hookup.
Yeah, those are some of the ideas that we're looking to make it easier. But just like you say, at the time, it's real-time communication could be a bit challenging. That's the reality.
Yes. Oh my God. Y'all keep the questions coming. I'm gonna ask another question. I think we went into this a bit, but I usually ask this question and you might be repeating yourself. I apologize. What was your motivation for building this?
Okay. So yeah, for sure. I think, first of all, I've been an open source enthusiast for over 20 years. So typically when I have a new idea, I want to see how far can I take that in the shape of open source. And I like to do this for several reasons. The first one is because imagine what will happen if everything was closed source, absolutely everything. There will be no share of acknowledge whatsoever. So things that we're building now within a couple months, it might take us maybe decades to get there, right?
Yeah.
Including Fonoster, like I'm using a lot of open source tool to build this because it's open source, which is shortening my time to market. I hope that makes sense. Also, at the same time, I think it's good business too. That's the reality. The reality is that I'm closer to the developers, I'm closer to the community. I can give you tons of value upfront, but a few people will certainly will go back because they might have different use case, or maybe they want help with their infrastructure deployment. So that's also good for sustainability of the project. So I think it's just a win-win, just overall.
Yes, and Joshua said open source is awesome. Yeah, I agree. Like it's one of the best ways building your project in public is one of the best ways to make sure it's quality and connect with developers. Bakari is suggesting that maybe you might want to connect with Agora because they're because they have a software defined real-time network. I don't know too much about Agora, but I guess they have some kind of communications API or something like that. Someone said any plans to support SMS? I think you mentioned that.
Yeah, so in fact, this week I connected with a company that, here, let me do something real quick here. Okay. So I connected with a company called Telecom Stack because SMS until now was super challenging. It's just super mysterious the way it works. But I found a path. In fact, on my Twitter yesterday, I showed a quick demo, and it's not how the API is going to look like, but it gives you an idea that it's not going to be that difficult. So hopefully, if it's not at the end of this quarter, probably at the beginning of the next one, we'll have at least a beta version of the SMS feature for sure.
Nice. That's exciting. I'm excited to see like how it continues to evolve over time. I think I'm gonna try out the Roxy UI, Rox AI or UI thing. That seemed really cool. Oh, if there and then okay, Vincent said awesome to that response that you gave. If there are no more questions in the chat, I'm gonna ask my regular non-technical questions that I normally ask. One is, what's your favorite food, and then what's your favorite Beyonce song?
Okay, these are the two hardest question for. So for the first one, I'm gonna tell you, but I don't even know if you're gonna recognize this. So I like mango,
Okay.
and mango is smashed plantains, but it's crazy because you have to know it's not just smashed plantain. You got to know how to make them. You know how to put like cold water and hot water. It's strange. It's a Caribbean thing, but that's one of my favorite foods. And then as far as my favorite Beyonce song, I think Diamonds. It's a little old stuff. I don't know. I think I just like the vibe of that particular song. So that's what I go
Great choices. I think I know what mango is. It sometimes has like onions on top of it. Not Latina, but I know some stuff because I'm Caribbean. Someone said, could you please expand on monetizing open source software? I don't know if that's really the topic, but do you want to ever talk about that today?
Yeah, for sure. So I can give you a brief because you're right. Maybe there might be another better place to kind of discuss this. But the reality is we're going for SaaS model alongside with the open source. That's like the short answer to it. Even the demos that I show you today, that's like the MVP of Fonoster Cloud. So we're building the open source community. We have everything we have is open source. Everything you saw today is open source and will remain open source. But for people that don't, maybe there are some people that don't want to launch their all DevOps for this. And so that will be our opportunity to monetize the project. Yeah, that's a short answer to that.
I love it. And I'm always here for maintainers figuring out how to make money or figuring out their different business models in open source, because it's like this big misconception that it has to be free. So thank you. Thank you for sharing this, Pedro. For honestly, the demos were on point. I know everybody was super excited to see what you've developed, and I'm going to continue to follow like your journey and continue to see Fonoster grow. And I would love to give you the hookup on code spaces after this.
That is super cool. That is super helpful. If not, I just wait for my beta entry. That's how we go.
I think basically we're trying to get some impactful open source projects to get to try out code spaces. So possibly, are there to end this, are there any things you want to plug, you want to talk about, tell people to follow you on? I don't know.
I wanted to ask you because I wanted to know what's your favorite food and beyond song.
Oh, I never had someone ask me that.
Back at you.
Oh, now I have to think. Oh man. Okay.
No pressure.
Favorite dig. There's a lot. So favorite food. I can't choose one. Let me see. I like roti. I always talk about roti whenever someone says stuff. Basically, my parents are from Guyana, which is in South America, and it's heavily influenced by like Indian cuisine, but also Caribbean cuisine. So yeah, they make this thing called roti, and I normally describe it to people who never had roti, a burrito that's like made with curry, but like Caribbean people will be mad if they hear me say that because that's not. They're like, that's not what it is. But I'm like, it's essentially like a wrap that has like curry and split peas in it, and then inside of it there'll be like potatoes, like curry potatoes or curry chicken or something like that in there. I like that. It's good. And then in terms of my favorite Beyonce song, I like some Destiny's Child songs, like Pay My Bills and Say My Name, and then
Yes.
those are those are good ones. And then her new recent album, I like Virgo's Groove. Like she just came out with an album, And there's a song on there called Virgo's Group that I think is really good. Oh, someone said, do you have any plans on doing more SDK or creating an SDK in more languages aside from JavaScript?
Yes, absolutely. That's a good question. So the core of Fonoster is built using gRPC. And so we're looking at streamlining, making it easy for you to generate your own APIs in whatever language. So that is definitely something. It's not, I didn't put it on the roadmap, so it might take a quarter or two before we get to that. But it's certainly something we know we want to have sooner rather than later.
Awesome. All right, y'all. So thank you for tuning into this stream. I really loved it. Don't forget to go ahead and maybe star Fonoster on GitHub at github.com/Fonoster. And if you're interested in contributing, you can find Pedro on Twitter at Pedro Sanders _. And I'm gonna say it's Sanders, right? Not like Sun. Yeah.
No,
Cool. Pedro Sanders _. All right. Thank you, y'all. I'm gonna end the stream now. Bye.
Thank you, yourself, for having me. Goodbye.